It's time to join Montana's very own and your voice for agriculture, Talkin' Ag Lane Nordlund, for today's LaneCast.
What is at the end of your rainbow? Is it a pot of gold or a herd of Black Angus cattle? That's a way we could describe the 52nd Montana Angus Tour that traveled across southwest Montana. Here's a few of those conversations we had during this year's event.
It's such a privilege. We're so grateful that everybody actually came to the first stop here at White Sulfur Springs. For me, what's I think really important is the tour started in 1974, and this is actually the first time that there's been a tour stop in Moore County. So we had a couple other consigners, Mile High from Livingston, and then the Sam and Chanel Bird Fort Logan Ranch came up as well.
It's been a great tradition, this Montana tour. It's been going for a long time, years and years. So people just come from all over the nation to come and, see cattle, see good cattle, have a good time. As you can see today, it's a beautiful day with the big sky that we get to look at. My grandpa started here in 1933 with some commercial stuff, and then just in the last 15-20 years we've switched it over to registered Angus, and I have two daughters, Audrey and Asha, that are a vital part of the program, and they sure got interested in the register business. And it sure helps too that we have Sleeping Giant genetics, that we get to flush some cows, use some embryos, and use some of the better genetics of the state. So.
It's unbelievable how the attention on the Montana Angus Tour has just grown over time. It's absolutely the most revered event of its kind in the world. You're absolutely right. There'll be over 25 states represented in multiple countries, and that reputation of these cattle just we spread it throughout the world.
Well, we caught up with a lot of producers and attendees on this year's Montana Angus Tour, and one of those was Mr. Jake Callantine. He and his wife Jane hosted one of the tour stops, really kicking off the tour there. It's a great breakfast, great cattle with the Bridger Mountains in the background. You've hosted tour stops in the past, Jake. What's it like just welcoming all these people to the home operation?
Oh, it's really cool, Lane. It's, you don't get the opportunity to get 500 people come look at your cattle in your ranch in one shot like that, and to be able to entertain them and bring them and give them a good CAB breakfast. This was perfect. The weather was great. We had a great crowd. We had a really good time.
Now, when we're looking at cattle there in just the shadow of those Bridger Mountains, it's great to see them in person, but for our friends that weren't able to come, let's just talk about your cattle philosophy and working with family and other partners to help create the Angus herd that is perfect for your environment and also perfect for potential customers.
Well, that's what we do. We said my line is, if the bulls won't work for me, they're not going to work for my customers. And 90% of my customers are really good friends, they're neighbors, and they've become really good friends over the years. Yep. In the Angus breed, in the Angus business, especially in Montana, customer service is a lot of thing that keeps us apart. I mean, our cattle are everybody in Montana cattle are really good. Yep. So our customer service has got to be top notch. Yep. And we've got cattle that we've bred and managed for our environment and our customers and our local customers, and we get along pretty good. Yep.
Now, let's talk about sale format. When's your guys' sale?
It'll be the 17th of April this year.
Okay.
In 26.
Yeah, in 26. I'm having a hard time saying 2026 too. Yeah. But, that's one thing too, is I've said it with almost everyone we've interviewed here today. We've seen operations that have been raising Angus genetics for over 100 years, but we're also seeing folks that are just making their name in the Angus business as well. What's your advice to young producers, whether they're a family operation, getting started on their own, collaborating with neighbors? What's your tip about trying to be successful in the purebred registered into things?
The first thing is get involved. Join your association, join your tours. This is the best place in the world to meet people and to see cattle. Get on these tours, be involved. Find somebody that can mentor you. We've got some people that we work with. That's the greatest thing that we can help them with.
Well, thanks for that insight and advice. And one thing too, you and your wife Jane and I, we were over in Australia for the World Angus Forum. We got to see a lot of cattle, a lot of Montana influence in that herd too. What was that like to go experience that, but also have some of those Aussies come over to this tour and see your home operation?
It was really fun. I said that Australian trip we had was a chance in a lifetime. That's a bucket list thing you check off, and said I'd go back tomorrow if we had the opportunity. And it was great to have these guys come back. We promoted the Montana Tour when we were over there as best we could, and we got some of those guys to come over and look at our cattle, and there'll be a lot of back and forth with genetics here in the next few years.
Well, again, Jay Callantine and family, a great stop there, Timberline Angus, and of course, I used to party a little bit out in the day out in the Passport Community Center back there with the Hoagland family, but beautiful country, great cattle, of course, great conversations had here on the Montana Angus Tour. Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Lane. Appreciate it.
And we are just north of Belgrade, Montana, and joining me right now is Ed Brainard. And Ed, we are here on your family's homestead, and of course, you and your family have been ranching here in the Gallatin County for quite some time, and now the Belkamp family is leasing this operation here from you, raising some great Angus cattle. But what's it like welcoming all these folks from across the nation and, in fact, the world here to the Gallatin County here this week?
Oh, it's just great to see these people come and be interested in these kind of cattle and see all the great cattle we have in the state of Montana and stuff, and especially the Belkamp cattle. We've been involved with them for a number of years, and it's just great to see everybody show up here. And some of the people was here 7 years ago, they said, and so it's kind of nice to see them come back, and just great to still be able to keep all this country in agriculture.
Well, I was going to bring that up because obviously you and Punky and your family have been here for generations, and driving up in this country, there's a lot more houses here than when I was going to school at Montana State University. How important is it for you and your family to make sure this land stays in production agriculture, making sure that conservation is top of mind and that there isn't houses built on every ridge and in every valley here?
Yeah. Oh, it's one of our highest priorities, and hopefully we've got it fixed so it's going to carry on for generations. My daughter is highly involved in the operation, and a big owner of our LLCs and stuff. And my oldest grandson, Paula's oldest boy, graduated a year ago, and he's here on the ranch with us, and he's working into some ownership and stuff here. So, I look for this, and his brother's interested in it. And, I hope this goes for another 100 years and stuff. That's our plan.
And how long has the family been here? This is the homestead, correct?
Yeah, this is the homestead here, and my granddad homesteaded here in 1896, and that's when it kind of all started for us. And then just down the road here, a couple of miles, is where my great-great-grandmother homesteaded, and I was lucky enough to purchase that land about 20 years ago, so we've got two old-time homesteads.
And Ed, what advice do you have to young producers out there? I will say your family's very supportive of agriculture, of MSU, of the rodeo team at MSU, but how important it is to stay in agriculture or have a link to agriculture, maybe even though you might not be directly raising cattle or crops, but how important is it to stay educated on agriculture and where our food comes from?
Oh, very, very much so. And as you know, we've got a program that we put on down at our ranch, home ranch there, and we bring 1,100 fourth grade kids out there every year and teach them about agriculture and the way of life and everything. And we hope that goes on for a long, long time. But the other side of it is too, I think it's up to us older people to help the younger people in any way we can get into agriculture. I've helped a number of young fellows different ways with advice. I've never given any of them money, but I've helped them buy cattle and lease land, and I lease some land to some of those younger people, and it's very important that we do that that's the way you keep it in agriculture.
Well, Ed, thanks for taking a few minutes here with us today. And of course, we're going to have more conversations with folks from here in the region, across the nation, and the world as Western Ag Network continues our travels on the 52nd Montana Angus Tour here in southwest Montana. Well, of the close to 20 stops that we were able to see here on the 52nd Montana Angus Tour, the VanDyken family with Thousand Hills Angus set up shop there at Headwaters Livestock, and joining us today is Rick VanDyken. And Rick, I tell you what, we saw a lot of great cattle on this trip, but what was it like showcasing your family's herd here with so many folks from across the state, nation, and the world?
It's just a great opportunity to get this many people. It's the only chance you'll ever get this many people out on your place looking at your cattle.
And of course, we were there at Headwaters, and just being able to walk through all of the pens there and see cattle is great too. But being face to face, because this world is so digital nowadays. How important is it though to still look at EPDs on paper, but also be boots on the ground and looking at great genetics in person? What's your take on that?
The numbers are great, but if you can't see the cattle, you can't look at the cattle, it's really tough to tell what they are. I mean, anybody can make numbers look like anything, but when you see the cattle in person, that's the best way to judge a cattle.
And for your view of cattle and your philosophy, what are you looking at in raising a good mama cow and then the end genetics as well?
We're really focused on the mama cow. She's got to produce a calf every year. Fertility is number one on the list. She's got to have a calf every year. She got to be functional. She got to have good feet, good udder. I'm not a dairyman. I don't milk cows. So if calf can't nurse on his own, she goes to town.
Now, also, we got to see a featured 11-year-old cow there with the Gunsmoke line. Talk about that dam and just the enthusiasm around Gunsmoke as well.
Gunsmoke was a bull that our son Andy really promoted, and he brought the thing together. He'd done a great job. Gunsmoke has been a really good bull for us. His bulls, calves have been really well accepted by our buyers. Females are just fantastic. They're just really moderate frame, structurally correct. They just do a great job for us. So we've really been working on that line of cattle. So that old cow has just done a great job.
And when we look at that too, with folks from all over coming here, what was it like being face to face talking with them? And again, talking about the best business in the world, ranching. What was that like though for you?
Yeah, that's the best part of this tour is getting together and visiting with the people. Yeah, that's just something I really enjoy, getting to meet new people, visit with old friends. It's the best.
What are you optimistic about for the future of the cattle business?
I'm starting to see some young people get into this cattle business, and that really excites me. For a while, they kept talking about the age of the rancher getting older and older, and I think there's some young people starting to step into it, so that's really exciting for me.
Well, again, when's sale day? We can give a shout out for the 2026 sale, right?
2026 sale.
That's hard to think about.
Yeah, no kidding. March 14th, second Saturday in March, and it'll be March 14 this year at Headwaters again. So,
well, again, Rick, thank you and your family for helping put on a great tour here this year. And go to thousandhillsangus.com. Is that the website?
That's the website.
All right.
Bet. You got it.
One of those stops was the Red Bluff Station, part of Montana State University's land grant mission. And joining us here today is Dr. Tim DelCurto. He oversees the Animal Range Sciences Department at MSU, but you've had other roles in the Animal Range Sciences Department. But what was it like having the tour stop by Red Bluff, but also showcase the MSU Angus herd that got its start from Angus producers here in Montana?
Yeah, for us, it was very rewarding. It's sort of funny. I was hired a little over 9 years ago, and within the first 2 or 3 months, Montana Angus Association had a member come and visit me, Tim Skinner, and basically said, we really want to work with you to establish a purebred herd. And to be honest, I was reluctant. It wasn't really until Tim made the comment that as a land-grant university, you need to reflect the industry that we have here in the state. And the fact is, Montana's the #1 seed stock producing state in the United States. And just because of our, we're also #1 exporter of genetics worldwide, which makes us really the center of that. And so over a series of meetings, we decided to establish the Montana State University Angus program. Started out with donations of heifers, ended up all told, I think the Montana Angus industry is probably given in live animals, embryos, and in-kind support close to $500,000 to Montana State, and which is great for us. But I think the real thing is it brings the industry to campus. They get to mingle with our students. Our students get a lot of hands-on experience with really quality cattle, and I think it's been a win-win for everyone. And probably the big thing for us has also been the research platform, which I didn't expect, but we worked with the American Angus Association as well as the Montana Angus producers and did a lot of research looking at things that's important to not only our producers but the people who buy our bulls.
Now also, it's a rough, rugged landscape at Red Bluff too.
Yeah.
So these cattle have to thrive in that environment, and you're also calving in a different time interval compared to other MSU cattle focused operations.
Right. In fact, and that was part of, we had almost a year of meetings where we met with the essentially the board, Montana Angus Association. Red Bluff Research Center is roughly a little over 10,000 acres. It's ideal for kind of a low input range kind of operation. We were just in the process of moving to May calving, and so as these discussions were going on, it's like, this is going to be different than almost any kind of Angus ranch that I'm familiar with. But as we laid it out, we thought, well, what a better place to test out Montana Angus genetics in a systems approach where we graze. Our goal is 10 plus months a year. For the last 5 years, I think 4 out of the 5 we've grazed year round.
It was great talking with donors to the program that sent heifers several years ago and seeing them look at those cows that are still in the herd. And I spoke to one of those producers from Shipwheel Cattle Company, Lori Swanson, saying, she's still here. And to hear that, saying that's an investment on their part, but to still see those cattle shining through, because truly these are some of the top genetics, not only in Montana but the world, that were donated to help benefit the Angus breed.
We were so pleased in 2018 and 2019. I think we had close to 50. First year was bred heifers. Second year was just yearling heifers. And you're right. I mean, they were. Some of the best genetics you can find. Now, there's a few that didn't make it in our program. One of the things we select for is cattle that work in really a fairly rugged, challenging, nutritionally challenging range environment. And we had a few that came in open and they went down the road.
But that happens on every operation.
Every operation, and right now our herd's about 50% registered Angus, 50% commercial Angus. Our goal in the next 3 to 5 years is to make the whole thing registered. They're doing great. I think this past year we're 95% conception. We'll preg check here in a few weeks, and I'm guessing we'll be the same. So.
My last area, obviously, marketing these genetics. You're not just keeping them and keeping them out at Red Bluff, and they're, you're not just watching them. You are marketing them. Talk about that collaboration with the Treasure State Bull Test.
Basically, this year I think we have about 24 intact bulls. We'll go through them and we'll do kind of a keep cull. Early on, we've narrowed it down to about 24. We'll send our 10 best. Well, not quite our 10 best. We might keep 1 or 2 for
so you can covet them a little longer, we can say.
and then we'll send the 10 best remaining bulls to Treasure State. Our goal long term is to at some point have a seed stock production course that will culminate in a live auction on campus. But we're still working at that. But as department head, I think I'm in a good spot maybe.
Well, maybe. You have your own ear.
I have my own ear, and I have the dean's ear too. So.
Well, again, Dr. DelCurto, thanks for joining us. And we gave some giveaways to folks in the drawing, and we got some NDSU and South Dakota State fans that will be converted.
We're trying to convert them to Bobcat fans. I think the best way to do that is convert them on the football field.
Yeah, conversions, first downs, and touchdowns. But again, Dr. Tim DelCurto joining us, and of course, a lot of great support there in the College of Agriculture. If you haven't done so, go check out the interviews we did with so many of the College of Ag, Extension, and research leaders during our homecoming coverage that we had a few weeks ago in Bozeman, and also hear from the new president of Montana State University, Dr. Brock Tessman, joining us. Big supporter of ag. Yes, he doesn't know a lot about it, he admits that, but it's great to hear that he knows how important agriculture is.
He's been on Bar Farm 3 times in about 2 or 3 months, so that's a good sign.
Well, folks are coming from far and wide attending the 52nd Montana Angus Tour here in southwest Montana. And joining us from Glen Rock, Wyoming with M Diamond Angus, Mr. Brad Boner joining us. And Brad, you've attended a few Angus events in the past.
Yes.
Have you been to the Montana Angus Tour in the past?
This is the first time I've been on the Montana Angus Tour.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your impression of it?
It's incredible. Of course, it's a great time of year to be in southwest Montana. The country's beautiful as it gets, and seeing some great cattle, and of course having some great networking with really good people. It's just been a tremendous experience.
Now, I know you've attended the Angus Association annual conventions in the fall, but what really drew your attention to attend this event?
You know, I think the Montana Angus Tour has a long-standing reputation of being the best tour in the country, and in particular this region always does a great job. So it worked out in my schedule, and I'm just tickled I could be here. So,
what would have been some of your favorite stops so far? I know we got a few more here today on the last day, but what do you like? What genetics are you keeping your eye on?
You know, I thought for my mind, the VanDyken stop yesterday was really good. I enjoyed that very much, and they've all been good. You know, it's great to see the variety of production systems and people, how they do things, and we always learn something from those things, and so they've all been a great stop. Yeah.
And for yourself, what are some of the key things you look at when you're trying to raise a good mama cow and looking at genetics for the future, not just for your registered herd, but for your seed stock customers?
Right. I think, you know, what's important for our customers is, you know, it starts with the mama cow. If you don't have that factory, you don't have anything. And so I think we look to have super functional, highly productive cows that get bred back every year and bring in a big calf. And that's the first thing. And then whatever we can add on past that for the end consumer is a positive. Yeah.
Well, again, when's your guys' sale?
It's March 27th, 2026.
So that's going to be coming up.
Yeah. It'll be here before we know it.
Well, again, Brad, thanks for taking a few moments with us. And again, we're going to catch up with more of our attendees here on the 52nd Montana Angus Tour here in southwest Montana. Well, for 52 years, the Montana Angus Tour has showcased some of the world's best Angus genetics, and southwest Montana is truly rolling out the red carpet for folks from 29 states, 4 countries, and it's been one heck of a time. And joining us now is Porter Bennett with Hollow Top Angus just outside of Pony, Montana. And Porter, you and the operation opened the door to the tour. What was it like to see all those buses come up the lane and take in some great Angus genetics?
It was kind of startling, awesome, you know, in a lot of ways. I mean, you got to recognize we bought that property in 2012, 11, and we got our first Angus probably about 2013. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we're new at this, and a pretty unknown ranch, and it's, you know, it's a slog getting started, and it was really cool to see it kind of come to fruition in a sense, and have all these people up there looking at it and looking at the cattle and saying, you know, these are pretty good cattle. Yep. And I think it was a lot of people were startled, and you know, we were too, just because of the number. Mm-hmm. I mean, we knew we had developed some good cattle. It was just a question of whether anybody would appreciate them or not. That was the fun part, is to watch that. But it was pretty awesome to watch, see all those people come up and actually say, you know, you guys are onto something here.
Well, that's a phrase I've been saying this week. We're seeing reputation herds that have been around for 100 years, but we're also seeing operations that are just making their reputation and getting their names out there. And when can you have 500 people come out to your operation and learn about your genetics? It's just truly is one of, it's such a unique tour.
Oh, it's a hugely unique tour in that sense. And for a ranch like ours, it is a godsend, because well, there's no way we could get that kind of opportunity to impart knowledge about what we're doing. Not just stuff you see when you read a catalog, but really be able to look around, see the feet, look at the rear end and all those kind of different things. And it's a very, very good way to do things.
Well, again, what's maybe a tip of advice or maybe something you'd share with folks out there just about your role in the Angus business and the importance of genetics here from Montana?
Nice narrow question. I think the most important thing, is that you gotta pick what you want to do, what you want to produce, and it's helpful to know why you want to do that too, because you gotta stick with it, and it takes time. Once you get a bull, it's 2.5, 3 years before you actually see what you got, and so you got to be willing to be patient, which is probably the hardest part for me. At my age, it's kind of, you don't know how many more you're going to have, and so you got to, it's hard to have that time delay. But anyway, pick a phenotype or whatever that you want, and know why you want it. We picked, we said we wanted a moderate frame bull, and that could travel in the mountains and work mountain pastures, and that was as much my background, because I'm from Colorado and we had lived in the mountains, and that's kind of what I always knew, and so we focused on that, and that's it's been a process to kind of go through and figure out what works and doesn't work, which lines are going to give you bigger bulls. We really try to stay away from long back animals and animals that don't have good feet. We won't have anything to do with them, and things like that we have to be careful with. And it's mostly picking a route and staying with it, being persistent. You got to adjust along the way, but you got to stick with what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, they're going to yell at me pretty soon to get on a bus. But when is the sale here this fall?
December 8th. It'll be up at Pony at the ranch.
Well, again, thank you, Porter, for joining us and hosting us on the tour stop. And again, check out Hollow Top Angus online for more details and for that upcoming December sale. Again, we're going to have more of our conversations here on the Western Ag Network throughout the tour here this week.
Well, it's a bit of a drizzle here in southwest Montana and Beaverhead County, but Cory Lamey is joining us here today with Circle L Angus, one of the last stops we are experiencing here on the 52nd Montana Angus Tour. And what's it like having all these buses roll in and really just showcase your family's hard work?
It is. That's truly what it is. It's a chance for us to showcase what we do and what we have. We have a fall cabin program, a spring cabin program, and we're really concentrating on the PAP industry. So anyway, yeah, very excited.
Now you had your kids and grandkids with you. What's that mean? Really, we are in a family business in the ranching industry, but what was that like having your kids stand there with you?
This is awesome. Cory and I are both fourth generation Montana cattle ranchers, so my kids are fifth, their kids are sixth, so this is why we do what we're doing. It's for them to try and give them a little better start than what we did. So, no, we're really excited and very grateful.
Now, you stressed the importance of PAP here at this elevation. What are some of the other key things that you are focusing on with your family and raising Angus genetics here in this part of the state?
Well, we've always decided you need to raise what people want. So, whether it's the industry or what their actual needs are. So, we do try, and if we can make them CAB, we certainly would like to do that, but they have to be sustainable, fault-free, and they need to PAP.
Yep.
And that's what our customers expect from us.
And what's it been like raising a family here and a cattle herd in this part of the state? What would have been the joys? What have been some of the struggles? Maybe some advice?
There's been a lot of struggles. You know, that growth phase is really, really hard. And but once you get to a certain level, you know, you're trying to build cow numbers and trying to build a reputation and trying to get buyers to your sale. Those really hard things to do. And so I think we're coming up on our 18th or 19th bull sale.
Yeah.
And so it feels a lot more comfortable, but we can never be too comfortable.
Now, we cannot not talk about the MSU Bobcats, but before we get there, you know, this tour also got to stop by at the Red Bluff Research Ranch and see that MSU Angus herd. How important is it for our land-grant universities to be involved in genetics and enhancing the breed like the Angus breed and having so much stakeholder input from Angus breeders here in the state?
I think it's outstanding. You know, it's a way for us to give back. I had a full ride scholarship to play football back in '83 through '88, and so it was an opportunity for me to give back to the program. And I think those cattle are doing well for them. So, but we're really excited to see them do that.
Yeah. And these Bobcats, we have a little bit of a rebuilding year, maybe we could classify it as, but it was great watching them play Eastern Washington for homecoming. What was your take on that game watching from home?
Yeah, I was excited. It kind of found some offense. I think our line is a little young, but I think we have a quarterback and receivers and tight ends, so I think it's just the line. If we can kind of get those guys fixed up, I think we'll be in good shape.
And I can't recall the last time I saw a tight end make a touchdown like that on a pass.
Right.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while.
Well,
so.
And I might have been in the beer garden too, where maybe that happened in the past. But
because you do. I'm a running back, but you do need to be able to pass the ball too. So I'm all for that.
But at the end of the day, what's a message you have for folks maybe in Montana or across the West about just what they can do to maybe learn more about Circle L? When's your next sale, and just a message you have for our viewers out across Western Ag Network country?
I forgot to mention that on my speech.
Well, good thing we're here on this platform.
Exactly. So our sale is the fourth Monday in February at Glen Livestock Auction. Which I believe this year is the 23rd of February. So. But yeah, it's a tough path, but boy, you just be determined and just stick with it and just work hard at it. And that's what we did.
Well, and I know someone's going to ask about this farm all behind you. What is this piece? This is your mower here, right?
I'm kind of an antique nut. I bought it from a customer up in the Upper Big Hole, and I used this to mow the grass before the tour. So I kind of enjoy having that stuff around.
Starts right up?
It kind of reminds you where we all came from.
Yeah, but it starts right up when you
go. You bet. Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Leaks a little gas, but you just get with it.
Well, Cory, thank you so much for hosting us here. And again, for all of our friends, check out Circle L on all their social media channels and online. And of course, that beginning of February sale coming up in 2026. Well, we met a lot of folks and saw a lot of folks and friends here on the Montana Angus Tour, and Geoff Birchnell is joining us here today, and he's from a little bit south of us in southwest Montana. Well, maybe down under, we should describe it. He's with 3R out of Australia. I had the opportunity to meet him during this year's 2025 World Angus Forum. He's attending the Angus Tour here in Montana with some fellow Aussies as well. You're going to go see some other operations, Hereford as well. But Geoff, what's it like coming back to the Big Sky State and seeing some genetics?
Well, fantastic, Lane. Look, we've had a great couple of days here. Unbelievable people, unbelievable cattle. The scenery is what it is in Montana, and just to get around, network with this great group of people, it's something that we'll definitely be back for.
No, it was great going over to Australia. We spent several days in Tamworth, and I know you had cattle on display there. It was great seeing those Montana genetics on display as well, the influence that it has. What are the similarities? What are some of the differences? Maybe in the cattle themselves, but maybe in what producers in Australia are focusing on in terms of high priorities in their selection.
Sure. Well, one thing I'll always take my hat off and admire about the Montana and the American genetics in general is just the focus on the maternal cow. And I think down in Australia that's really growing. We're starting to see cows that work. Like your range country and our conditions aren't dissimilar. Your winter is obviously harsher, but what we expect of our cows and what we need from them is very similar. So your cows are acid tested, and so we're getting those genetics which are working down there. We're having great success our own program, and I'm just really focused on that maternal cow, and no one does it better than the Montana cattle industry.
Now, of course, we saw a lot of Angus cattle going from Sydney to Brisbane. That's the part of the nation I was in. I wish we could have got further west into Queensland too. But what is it like, though, raising Angus cattle in Australia?
Well, Angus are the breed, and they're incredibly popular, and they're growing their market into the north. They've always been. The southern regions are quite temperature-wise, fairly conducive to Angus cattle. As you push north, you get into the tropical environments, and Angus are really pushing up into there, and it's because they take with them that carcass attributes. They're going on white cows, white Brahman cows, and Bos Indicus cows, and they're just making a product which everyone wants, increasing the eatability and the quality of that meat, and that's coming back into the southern feedlots.
When we were over at the World Angus Forum, I'd ask producers, what are some of the challenges you face in the livestock business in Australia, whether that be regulations, municipal, or weather, drought, whatever that might be? What are some of the things that impact you?
Well, to a lesser extent, I've seen your struggles with rural versus residential land, not quite to that extent, but our main thing at the moment is fighting against this green energy and these renewables. Not that we're necessarily against it, but we're against it on quality prime agricultural land, and there seems to be a push, and it's to the disregard of the national security and the food that we produce, and we're a massive exporter of quality food, and I'm just hoping that we can see our way through that, but that to me is the main challenge at the moment.
Well, again, for our friends tuning in, where can they learn more about 3R and learn more about yourself?
Well, certainly we've got a website, 3rbeef.com.au, and we just open arms to anyone who wants to come down to Australia. We'll give you a good time. You've set the precedent, so yeah. Look, I'd invite anyone down, but no, thank you very much for your hospitality up here. And there's a couple of Aussies coming up and just having a good time and a good look around. You couldn't have done it better. So we're very grateful, and we'll be back.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, and I know you're going to go see some great Hereford cattle as well.
We are
at Holden Hereford.
Yeah,
so.
Jack's a long-term mate of ours, and so we'll go up there for a couple of days and a few more Angus operations. But always. I'd encourage anyone to come to Montana. If you don't have a good time here, there's something wrong with you, not the place.
Well, again, we have had a great time. Over 29 states represented here on the tour, and 4 nations coming from Australia. Hungary was also well represented. I guess Canada as well. I don't know what the 4th one was. That's slipping my mind right now. But Geoff, I appreciate your conversation and running into it just a few months after we're in Australia.
Absolutely, Lane.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There's a little bit of a new face to the tour host responsibilities this year. We had to get rid of the North Dakota State University fan and bring in a Bobcat fan.
Yeah.
Mr. Joe Goggins joining us today. Roger Jacobs hosting the tour for 28 years or how long?
Yeah, he'd been well over half of them. I know my dad was the first kind of the first wave, and then Jake has been doing it for 20, 30 years now. And I know a lot of people missing him. We're all missing him. He was. He had a bull sale in San Angelo, so they moved the dates on the tour, and it just didn't fit. But it's been a fun couple 2-3 days here in Montana at this tour.
And Joe, just the awareness of this event to 28 states, 4 nations represented. Your family's hosted stops several times in the past. What truly is it like to see cattle on the ground in a world that truly is so digital? How important is it for folks just to meet and see great cattle genetics?
I think they get to see, just the networking of the people. I mean, you see a lot of good people, you network, you see different programs and how they develop them, and just, there's so many things you take from this, and it's just, there's people here from, as you say, 28, 29 states. Internationally, there's 4 or 5 different countries, but it's a lot of these people from these different states have made, maybe there's one guy that's made 40 some already, and they just never miss this, and it's something they look forward to each and every year. And I think a lot of it's to see really good cattle, but a lot of it's just a network, and you see the who's who basically in the Angus breed here in these last 2-3 days.
And you say the who's who. I mean, we're 2 stops with the Sitz family, 100 years in the Angus business, but also we're getting to meet folks that are just making their name and reputation in the Angus business too. I think that's an exciting part of it, where folks, they know the reputation herds, but also they get to meet new folks that are using some great genetics too.
I think something that's really rung true here to me on this tour is just what you say. There's some young people getting involved in this thing, and they're so grateful for the help that they've got from some of these established breeders in allowing them to. There's been some real help to some of these young people getting started, and they appreciate it. And but in the same turn, you got some of the really established, long-time Angus outfits there is in the world. I mean, we've had several stops here. Even this morning, KG Ranch has been in the business now for 50 years. Elmo's Ranch has been on the same ranch, generational, for 114 years. You got the Sitzes, well over 100 years, and there's several other stops on this deal on this tour that have been it's what American agriculture is supposed to be like. It's what we need to do to keep these places generational, and there's a lot of that here in the state of Montana. It's something we should be very proud of.
Well, I want to let you go look through these pens, but what are you bullish on in the business right now? We saw some great prices throughout the summer video sales season. Heifers are bringing great prices for guys that are marketing them right now too, but what are you bullish about right now as we look towards the future?
No, I just think you can feel it you can just hear it, and there's a buzz. These people feel good about the business, and it's something we should enjoy. And I think this time's probably different than other times we've seen in this cycle. All these other times historically when this cycle has got like this, and we got higher prices, got to basically new levels, we've seen this cow herd in America expand rapidly, and right now we still aren't seeing that. We aren't seeing heifer retention. We aren't seeing this cow herd, especially in the north, and from the folks I'm talking to in the Midwest South, we aren't seeing this cow herd expand, and that's a good thing for those of us that own these cows. And I really believe it'll be the slowest expansion we've seen, and I'm not sure we need to promote getting the cow herd back where it was, because the cow herd number where it is right now is an awful good number. I think it looks to me like everybody can kind of make some money at this thing, and so I'm not saying we should incentivize this thing to where we get it built back, but I think the one thing we do have to do is we've got to make sure we incentivize these young people into staying into this deal, because we don't want this cow herd to get much smaller. If it does that, then it starts affecting a whole bunch of things, and it looks like this cow herd number, the way it is right now, in my mind, is pretty nice. I would. But I do think we've got to create some incentives through tax credits, whatever it is, to access to capital, access to land for these people and we got to keep this land in production. We got to keep the cow herd, in my mind, at the levels it's at right now.
Well, again, we could probably talk about this for the next hour,
that's
but
right.
Joe, I'm going to let you get back there. But again, for all of our friends that have joined us on social media, TV, radio, whatever you're tuning into, thanks for tracking along with us here on the Western Ag Network. We'll have more from the Montana Angus Tour here on these channels.
Thank you for tuning in to the LaneCast with Talkin' Ag, Lane Nordlund. Don't forget to subscribe to the LaneCast on your Apple or Android devices. We look forward to joining you next time on the LaneCast.